Id Software is famous for its influence to the FPS genre. With famous franchises such as Doom, Wolfenstein, and Quake under their belts, they were set to lay the foundations of what quality first-person shooters are supposed to be. However, their headliner releases had become staggered since their nearly yearly release back in the 90s. Rage was formally announced at E3 in 2008, and not only would it be the first in-house developed game since 2004's Doom 3, and their first new headliner since 1996's Quake, it would also be their first game published after ZeniMax Media, the owners of Bethesda, purchased them in 2009. This would put the game under a large amount of pressure, but would it manage to meet the demand? Back when I first played Rage, I compared it to Borderlands. While I can see why I made the comparison, in my recent playthrough it felt more like Fallout 4 with better gunplay and remarkably good vehicle segments. Personally, I feel that Rage may be better than either of these games. While the post-apocalyptic tone may be masterfully crafted visually, Rage hasn't aged particularly well. Everything mostly looks fine or even good at times from a distance. However, when you get close enough, just about everything looks like pixelated Bigfoot footage. Despite this, I still have moments where I think it looks better than Borderlands, even some areas of the Enhanced Edition. It's clear that most of the attention went to the characters and guns. Guns can sometimes look out of place, as they can look a lot better than the environments that you surround them with. The characters you meet will usually look good, especially the women you come across. I think Lusum is actually pretty hot, and Sally looks a bit like prime Sigourney Weaver if she was a bustier redhead. Music is used fairly sparingly and often fades into the background. I can't really say I even noticed it until I watched back some footage for this review. Clearly none of it is memorable, but it does fit the post-apocalyptic tone well, often using music in more realistic settings. Voice work is also pretty solid. They managed to get some notable actors, such as John Goodman, Claudia Black, April Stewart, Amanda Troop, Phil Lamar, Nolan North, and Dee Dee Rescher. They all do excellent work and flawlessly fit in the theme and tone that this game sets. Rage also does a lot of things right in regards to gameplay. Gunplay is mostly good. I do have some issues with a sniper rifle and the AK-style AR. While the sniper rifle can be replaced with the pistol, the AR will be an annoying workhorse, as its ammo is pretty common and its kick is too strong for the damage that it actually deals out. The other weapons are really useful in most conditions. The crafting system we have is very basic, but the items you can make with it are actually pretty cool and effective in combat. The wing sticks that you get early on not only are useful for most of the playthrough, but they're really fun and can actually come back to you like a boomerang. The driving is also surprisingly good, if not the best I've ever seen in a first-person shooter game. There is an incredibly fun racing circuit you can participate in to earn vehicle upgrades. There's also an okay collectible card game and a dice game that you can gamble on. There is plenty to do, and most of it is pretty great. The story is okay. You play as a person who is placed in cryostasis before an asteroid hit Earth. You wake up 106 years later, and you then find out that you'll be hunted by an organization called the Authority. From there, you meet various people and complete missions to survive in this new world. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's alright and engaging enough to keep me interested. However, Rage is another example of a typical 7th generation game. This means that it isn't very accessible. While it does have subtitles, there is no in-game option to change the language. There are also 4 difficulty settings, the keys can be rebound, and 6 preset controller options. However, there is some problems with controlling the game with the mouse, as acceleration feels a bit off, so I wound up playing it on a controller, which has a little bit more mild aim assist than some users may need. Unfortunately, Rage doesn't do well in convenience either. It's only available digitally on Steam and physically on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. While mostly glitch and problem-free, Rage does have save issues potentially related to the use of modern GPUs. I originally thought it might be related to my AMD GPU, but after I installed a DLL that supposedly fixes the problem, it still lingered, even if it may be a little bit better. I had to replay about an hour or so of gameplay during my playthrough, but it didn't get too annoying, and you can kind of cheese it a little bit with the autosave system. I also encountered a pretty significant graphical glitch, but replicating it would be quite difficult. Settings options are also pretty bare bones, and like I mentioned in accessibility, the mouse handles really strangely in menus. All these problems is definitely starting to show Rage's age, but it should still be able to play on most modern hardware, even if it does take a little tinkering. The experience of Rage by far is its best asset. While I didn't like every gun, the gunplay is pretty good. Combat is smooth, and changing things up mid-fight can get you out of a pinch. Enemies can move through the environment really well. They'll also take cover when not getting ready to shoot, and they physically react to getting shot. There is just a lot of detail here that isn't limited just to the FPS segments either. The driving feels great, and racing segments are good enough to be a game on their own. There are quirky mini-games that you can play or collect cards for, and overall there's a lot packed in for a linear experience. While Rage might be showing its age, it's still some of the most fun in a game I've had for a little bit now. The problems can be annoying, but I can't say it caused me to get too frustrated. I think overall it gets a decent. While it may be time for a remake, I think that the content that we have is still pretty good.